All right, we're back with another one. Again, we're building it as we're flying it, so little tweaks we got to make here and there. Just a little adjustments on the fly. So as usual, ask you to bear with me as we get it together. Um, Find a few new things, so we got just gotta check on a few things like the stream health, all that as we go through the actual show. We're looking good, not excellent, but let's see how that goes. Outside of shutting things down, I don't know if we can do anything about that right now. Um, so if you make it into the stream, just get a quick hello. If you could hear anything, a little wave. If it sounds good on your end, let me know. Pop in when you can pop in. And naturally, as you come in, hit that like button. And if you're new here, hit subscribing. We appreciate that. So the algorithm is doing a couple of new things, and we just have to kind of move and shake with it, bob and weave, like all creators have to when you're, using someone else's platform. It is what it is. Complain about that. So we'll just go with that. Yeah, the horizontals one is what I'm going with, but if we're sounding good on there, we're just going to continue to push through. If you catch it on the vertical, let me know if there's anything I've got to adjust on the fly. Um, Always the iffy one. Trying to bootleg this thing from both sides. Just 1 second, check on one or two things, and then we can go with the show. You can, if you see anything on the vertical one, let me. It's the same link that it's always is for the. There we go. All right, so we're going to push on through. So as usual, housekeeping, right? We're gonna go back and see what was popping this week, and it's hard to tell because again, not Instagram, YouTube decided it's gonna do its own thing. So, not really certain what was really popping because the algorithm is doing a little change. People from TikTok have experienced something similar, but for different reasons. But one of the ones that's popular was I made a video, cataloging uh, a little compilation of all the times when it becoming very common, very easy, or just a normal thing now to call men ugly. Right? We forget that we're supposed to be doing this relationship thing together, and the more you insult men, the more you kind of make it seem as if they somehow evolved some from a mutated chromosome. And I'm using words that were used in a lot of the other programming. Right? It's not just stuff I'm making up. So when men hear that, and men like actual decent men, and they're like, yo, uh, if you don't even like us, what's the point of us trying to do any of this? If we can't get along on even on that type of tip, like what's the purpose? What's the point? What are we trying to do here? So we hear this, we see this, and then I don't like to talk about people's looks, right? I think at a certain point we all come out as losers when we're out there defaming how someone looks in an effort to put up someone else. But a lot of the stuff is not coming from the eight, nines, or tens. What we end up looking at this and we're saying like, yo, you just have you looked in the mirror? Have we have is that not important at all, or is that just an easy thing for us to talk about and defame men and say, yo, I doesn't really matter. You look like this, you move like this. It's silly. It's absolutely silly. And again, I think most of us end up being more on the average side of things, right? We end up all kind of getting average results in terms of looks. You rarely see outside of money, outside these other circumstances, in long term, you rarely see a 5 and a 10 making it down the road together. That's not really the case. So when we lose sight, even the regular us regular degular troglodytes, when we lose sight of what's actually happening here down in the real world, and we want these results from people that live artificial lives or lives that are so inflated that they don't make any sense to us. We keep comparing ourselves with those. What happens, right? We all end up looking stupid. We all end up looking like, who are you to call men this? That all adage of, he was without sin, cast the first stone, or don't throw, rocks in a glass house. We all seem to forget that. We all just seem, right now, it just seems very easy, very comfortable just to shit on men, right? That is now the popular thing to do. And I think this is what is a very big reason why these relationships, in terms of even marriages, end up failing. We don't have any sort of filter, anything to keep out a lot of the negativity that we absorb from these conversations. We simply hear these things, we believe it, and we keep it moving. We think this is the way it is, it's the way it's supposed to be. And that's it. That's it. So when we get confused, when we don't see how it's possible, how did our grandparents, some people's parents, how did they make it 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? How did they make it there? Because the slightest thing is enough to get us out of pocket. The slightest thing is enough to say, I'm done here. When we got interconnected and we lost sight of what was sort of important, or what was that glue that kept us together, we get this result, and we're kind of still wading through it. But that's for later on in the show. For now, again, if you're coming in, hit the like button, right? Hit the heart. Consider donating to the show. All that information is right there, right in front of you. You can check that out. Super chats, great way to get the attention, because we're trying to run 2 different streams at the same time. So sometimes kicking back and forth is hard for me to get that attention. If the moderators see anything going on the other chat, just let me know. Right now I'm on the horizontal one, and halfway through the show, I will switch over, as we tend to do. So again, this may be another one for the replay gang. Shout out to you guys. But viewership is viewership. When you cast a show, how you cast a show. Eventually, we hope to get on a very regular schedule, so we can set it like TGI Friday, where all right, this time I tune in, I can expect this to be here. We'll try it with different times. It's usually probably going to be sometime in the afternoon, evening time. But as always, we continue on with the show. All right, so I'm gonna give you a quick reminder to use a little more of those the sounds that I have, because I do actually enjoy them from time to time. And then I'll go through and I'll download a bunch of them, and then we forget about to use them. Like yesterday, I wanted to use them on the stream we did, and I think there was a point in that stream, and we were riffing. It was like a fireside chat, and something we want to start doing in the middle of the week. And one of the things that I want to have like a guest on there, so we can go riffing back and forth. The first one's going to be my best friend, because we got a lot of history, and sometimes it's just entertaining. Listen to us go back and forth. If you don't like random movie references and such, then maybe that's not the chat for you. But I think it is, because sometimes we have someone come on with a specific issue, something they're going through, and we can just have that guy time, that man talk. We can go back and forth and actually help each other out. Not like what you see sometimes when you're dealing with the opposite sex, when you have those hypotheticals, when you have those, would you love me if I was a worm? We don't have talks like that. But often couples do, and the results are sometimes not what they are looking for.
I'm 43, got mad at my wife who's 39 after she answered my hypothetical question, and I did not like her answer.
Oh, Lord, okay.
Okay, background. I work, she does not. I make more than $200,000 a year, so she doesn't really have to work. However, she came into the marriage with over $40,000 in credit card debt, so I simply asked her to get a job just to pay off her credit cards, and then she could quit. As she was browsing job posts yesterday, she came across one where the upper end of the salary range was over $300,000 a year, and she joked that she might just be making more than me, maybe thinking that I would be insecure about it. On the contrary, I told her that I would love that because we could split the bills. She immediately said, no. I thought she was joking, but she was not. I was caught off guard and pressed her on it and asked if she would really not contribute if she was making more than me. She said she would contribute, but took issue with it being 50-50, saying she would never do that, even if she made more money than me. Keep in mind, this is all hypothetical and it's very unlikely that she would make more than me, but it still bothered me and it turned into a little mini fight. I decided to drop it, but I woke up this morning and it's still kind of bothering me. Is it stupid for me to be this upset about a hypothetical situation that is unlikely to ever happen?
No.
Okay.
Basically what she said is it don't matter how much she made. She don't mind helping you out when you need a little something, but she expects to be taken care of.
Well, because
Now,
she wants to keep you motivated.
You see, did you catch that? Right? A lot of times what you'll see is that the reason behind why you don't want to go 50-50, but right. And we get it. You want to go 50-50 while you're dating, while you're married, but at the end of it, yeah, that's when 50-50 seems to be critically important. But we like to, pretend like somehow it's going to motivate you. There's so much, there's so many things going around now saying, you know what, you want to motivate your man, you got to spend his money, right? You got to tax him. You got to make him feel the pinch. So he's going to be somehow motivated to go out there and do more. But the truth is, you just like money. You just like Mr. Krabs.
Hello,
right?
I like money.
That's what it is. And to us as men, especially the men that actually make enough to entertain these silly questions, these silly things, right? Part of it comes down to is like, are you serious? Where does it seem? And we often we hope you would look at it from our point of view. We hope you will look, walk not even a mile, walk, just a couple feet in our shoes and say, why do you think I was put here simply to provide for you? Taking on your role, taking on your expenses, guarantees or pigeonholes me into a specific type of life where I have to do this thing and that thing at all. If you loved me, why would you want me to struggle like this indefinitely? Especially when now you have a job where you are the breadwinner. If he's making 200,000, she potentially made 300,000. Forget that it's unlikely. We just leave that there, right? Forget that it probably won't happen. But at that type of salary, you would just think, I don't go 50-50. The question is, where did this originate from? Where did this come from? Where did this idea actually start? Is this what we originally started with? When people were getting together, we say, well, I just don't want to go 50-50. I don't want to do this. So therefore, like, what generation coined the term? We know it's us. Generation coined the term and then ran with it and said, this is what it is. This is how we're going to be going forward. This is now the actual factual things. It leaves men into this pigeonhole point where all we're good for is what we produce. And when you lose that, when you just look at us as a producer or a provider, we lose that sense of humanity. We lose that sense of self, our sense of worth. So it makes sense why we have this disconnect, why we have this misunderstanding or this inability for us to understand one another. If you just think I'm good for what I can produce and what I can provide, you forget that I have hopes and dreams, aspirations, fears, things that keep me up at night, things that soothe me, all these things that make me human. None of those things become important because, for whatever reason, we've stripped men from a lot of their humanity outside of what they simply can produce. You're not looking at men as poets, as singers, as artists anymore. It's, hey, what is that salary? What can you do? How can you enrich and make my life smoother or easier? From a man's point of view, it's almost childish. You seem childish. It seems like I'm looking, and if I can learn more about you and have the opportunity to think about you as more than just a liability or a bill, maybe I have a shot at getting to know you. But knowing that in order for me to get my foot in the door, I first have to be worthwhile to you by how much I actually produce. But what I want to bring attention to is that quick dodge, that quick aside. You want to motivate me, so You won't help me. I don't know if it's a fear response, if a response of thinking that if he's comfortable, then he's not going to grow. It shows that you don't really know that our culture, our understanding of how to actually motivate men isn't there. It's not by putting challenges in front of him. You're not the iron that's supposed to sharpen me. You're supposed to be the thing that recharges me, rejuvenates me, smooths out my path to the forge, where now I can say, I'm coming here in my best condition to now sharpen myself against the obstacles, against the world. Thinking that you make my life more difficult is making me want to stay with you more so. For us, you know, that just doesn't make sense. It makes absolutely no sense to us. For us that actually have done a lot of that internal work, that understand our place in the world, we look at this stuff and we look like, you've got to be kidding. You've got to be kidding me. You don't understand, man, and you don't have any hope for it.
Never do 50-50. It won't keep you motivated. That's probably what I bet you that's what she's thinking.
Ma'am, I'm not motivated to keep you happy.
I'm motivated for you to continue to better yourself.
My only motivation is to keep a roof over your head and keep the one upstairs happy.
Okay, and then
men don't really need women to motivate them in that sense, right? That is manipulation. It's not motivation. It's, if I pull these strings, then he'll do this. If I make this happen, then he'll dance to this tune, and that'll make me happy. That'll give me the things that I'm looking for, the things that I actually need. And that's really not the case. It's never really been the case. Men that, again, can recognize manipulation, see that for what it is. You're here because I can produce. Well, we play that out to the, a little bit further. We understand that if I fall on hard times and it can no longer produce to the same quantity that I did, then you're gone. Even extrapolating that without something bad happening, right? Heaven forbid. When you retire, your income should reduce. Is us getting into this relationship simply going to put us on a timeline and say, at this point in time, thing is going to be over, it's going to end, and this is where we're going to be? That's how a lot of us see it. We see through the junk, we see through the manipulation, and we see it for what it is.
But that helps you. That helps motivate you.
I am your happiness.
First of all, no, you're not. That motivates you to continuously do better for yourself. That's what she's trying to say.
Okay.
Again, I don't understand the lengths that a lot of women will go to defend each other and insert things that are really just projection. This is how you feel about it, so this would make sense to me. This is how I would do it for you. This is how I would motivate you. And I'm not one for, I can't joke around. If you guys don't know, they're a married couple. I can't joke around with you in that sort of sense. Even in the hypothetical saying, wait, so if you were making more, you wouldn't want to help. That is revealing more about your character that I hope people understand, that you should understand that before you guys actually get married. But that's often not the case. So for those of us that are not married, that are out here playing the field, and we understand that things cost, right? You understand dating cost. We get that, especially for men, that onus, that reputation is still, that expectation is still on men to pay for dates. And now we see there's been a more of a push for have men to pay for more things, like almost like a baddie tax, where you have to pay for the maintenance, you have to pay for the dates, you have to sometimes pay for the babysitter, where there's this expectation of it. And I think most men are still, especially young men, are looking at that and say, what would be the point in that? What would I possibly, get for that? So they're looking and say, absolutely not. And for those men, shout out to them. Respect those, and I hope more men end up being like that and thinking like that and holding to that line. That makes absolutely no sense for us to do something like that. But some people like giving some of these things a platform, these people a platform, so they could talk about the baddie tax.
How much does it cost a month to date a baddie?
So if we do a weekly blowout, $120. If she goes to like an event once a week and gets glam, that's like $150. So that's like $300.
Yep.
Nails, toes, that's another like say $350, $400.
Okay, so we're at $270 plus $300, so we're at like $570.
$570, which like isn't crazy.
It's not bad. No.
I want you to take note of like the straight face, the straight face that she has when saying this. Right? This thing is it gets wild.
We're good right now.
Hot girls like do like peptides, like care about the health. So all of like the beauty outside comes within. Normally, like a lot of like baddies are holistic in some way. So like you have like the peptides, which is anywhere between like $180 to $900 a month. A lot of women are on birth control. So I don't know, like whatever that cost is. Then you need like hormone regulation stuff. So whether it's like ashwagandha, melatonin, or whatever it is, like supplements. Fun fact, a lot of hot girls are on a semaglutide. So
half the stuff you see, like, I don't think she really knows what she's talking about, but it sounds good, right? It sounds good. And you just keep totaling that up.
I think that's like somewhere between like, again, like $250 and like $1,000.
Okay.
Are you keeping track?
Yep.
Okay, great. Oh, therapy. Depending where you go, it's like $300 to $500 a session.
We're going once a week.
Yeah, a little like once a week.
Okay.
For the weeks that she skips, she probably has like an astrologist, which is like $350. So it kind of is like $500 a week. When we travel,
do people they actually have astrologists? If you know, let me know. I didn't know that was an actual thing. Where you pay people to look up something that ChatGPT or the newspaper tells you is what it is.
Because obviously we're in heels. You can't really take the subway everywhere. And also it's like dangerous.
So Ubers.
The experience of an Uber.
XL.
Or black.
Ooh. All right.
Quarterly is where it gets like, you're like, oh, wow. Because you have like maintenance, like Botox, filler, injectables, hair. Every time you go to the hair salon, like $800 to $1,200 every quarter.
Okay.
Botox, anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500. If she gets trap tox, that's another like $2,500. If she does full face, it's another $2,500 or $3,000.
So what? You're looking at $100,000 a year?
Yeah.
Right around there.
Yeah. Definitely.
$100,000 a year.
Yeah.
So if you have the money to pay for the baddie tax, if you're paying $100,000 a year, and I don't think they even talk about dates. I don't think they talk about actual like or what you get for that money. I know what you could invest that money into, right? And I think, wow, it sounds cute. It doesn't even sound cute. It sounds absolutely ridiculous from start to finish. It sounds stupid, right? You know, yeah, it's failed actions behavior for sure. And you're just sitting here, and definitely hear that Cali uptick, right? You hear that, and if you believe this, right? I'm not a fan of that at all. I hate that. But who's spending, right? And I wish there was a point where we could ask people, be honest, right? And by when I say be honest, bring the receipts, bring the individual that was paying you $100,000 a year for you to look the way you look. Bring someone really and truly, right? That shows all of this, and then tell us, right, in complete sentences, why this would be an idea. Why would this make sense for the next individual to say, yeah, no, I get it. I would, because that happened before. I am just going to do the very same thing. Most of us with sanity and reason, we just got one thing to say.
Stop it. Get some help.
Nah, this doesn't make any sense, right? This doesn't make any sense. And the fact that you could say it with a straight face, like somehow this is now going to convince men around the world that this is the thing to do. This is the thing that makes men like lose their top. This should be crashing out, right? Now, this is how I feel like I'm crashing out on something like this. What you could do with that $100,000 every year, putting that just into the market, into the S&P, and just letting it ride, where you would be in a short span of time. Absolutely ridiculous. I think she saw a girlfriend get it or date a billionaire once in high school. Yeah, maybe. It's just, I think when someone was showing us like just how the sheer difference between a millionaire and a billionaire, it's astronomical. It's astronomical. And if you're dating a billionaire in high school, your billionaire is probably 50, 60 years old, right? We can have a whole, we can invite Chris Hansen on and watch some of his programs to say, what's going on here, right? Or, you can check the Epstein list, but this is just ridiculous. And I wish we had an actual filter for the truth, for the verifiable truth. Like you get a double check mark next to stuff that you're next to your name, because like, no, you can verify this at any point in time, or every 3 months, you've got to bring in receipts and paperwork to say, yeah, you made a claim on this date. Yeah, can you back? Yeah, here it is. Here it is. And people are like, okay, I'm more keen to listen to this person rather than remember when TikTok was getting shut down, right? Previous to this. And a lot of people came online a lot of influencers came online to admit that, yeah, I don't use any of this stuff, right? I got a BBL, right? I'm on Ozempic, right? And people were losing their ish. And then the next day, they extended and gave TikTok a buy. So, so a lot of people just like, yeah, you realize what we all realize. A lot of the stuff that's online isn't worth it, is bullshit, right? Is bullshit. We have to at least at some point in time realize this for ourselves. It's just not real. It's just not real.
This is a follow-up to my husband does not know that we are $500,000 in debt. I did in fact come clean to my husband and I told him that we were $500,000 in debt. I did have to explain that I did get loans out in his name. I did ask family and friends for money, and I said that my husband would repay them eventually. Obviously, my husband was very pissed off. I did feel very bad, but he did tell me right away, actually, that he wanted a divorce. He did not understand why I could do something like that to him. I did tell him, I got bored. You took the card away from me. You no longer gave me money. So I felt the need to go behind your back and get loans and also ask for friends and family for money. That was the only thing that I could think of to do. I did feel bad, obviously, but I did it. There was no going back. He did file for divorce right away. I believe the next day.
Yeah, I felt bad, but I would do it again. I'd do it again in a justifiable heartbeat. I'm looking at that and saying, "Yo, I don't care. Doesn't mean anything to me. I hope you." Yeah, I went and asked friends and family for loans, for money. No, I don't care. I don't care about your struggle. I don't care about what situation I put you in.
After he found out, and so we are currently in the process of getting a divorce. He did kick me out of the house as well. So I'm currently staying in my car because friends and family do not want to take me in after what I did to my husband. I am very grateful that my husband let me take all of the stuff that I was able to purchase. So maybe I will sell some of those things so that I can eat until I get a job. I know I said before that I would never get a job, but at the end of the day, that is all that I can do. I cannot stay in my car for my entire life. And if family and friends are not going to support me, then what else am I going to do? So yes, I have to get a job at the moment. And I just completely screwed everything over. I mean, I shouldn't have done what I did, but oh well,
It's almost like you can mimic resentment or guilt. You can mimic regret, right? You can mimic it. You can approximate it, like some sort of Terminator, where you could say this coolly, calmly, with all the painted stuff on your face. When you legitimately had a man that was paying everything for you, and you just say, "Well, I want to spend your money the way I would spend my own money," but without the understanding that I made the money. So I want carte blanche to do what I want with this at all. Yeah, you should have took that. You're right. This is her makeup. That's important. Yeah, that's the most important thing, right? And it's this grotesquely applied makeup is the most important thing that I've got going in my life. Not that I put this man in substantial amount of debt. And, we can surmise, we can guess that during the divorce, she's going to give him a smooth, amicable divorce. She's not going to ask for anything whatsoever. We know that's not going to be the case. We know it's not going to be. She's going to find him tooth and nail for more stuff and more and more and more and more. There's another woman right now really documenting her entire divorce and saying how it's unfair that the things that her husband, she was a stay-at-home wife for 7 years and decided on her own. She was able to work, but she wanted to stay home with the kids. She's saying that it's unfair of the things that he's asking for now, i.e., she wants to spend when he has the kids and he's off working, she wants to be the babysitter. And he said, absolutely not. He said, absolutely not. And my sister showed up. I know she's got a lot going on, so I appreciate her just jumping in. She didn't jump in and jump out. So Also, I'm really reeling for her $5 donation she gave me yesterday. If you don't have sisters, you don't have dope sisters like this, it sucks. But yeah, so when you don't realize the situation that some men are able to put you in, because it becomes normal to you, it doesn't seem to matter. It's not important. It's a regular thing, and what ends up happening, you take it for granted. Then, in the ways you want to hurt him, then you say, "I'm going to run this bill." You took away my access, so I took out loans in your name. What we seem to forget, right? What we seem to forget is that all he really has to do is bring a lot of your social media into court and say, "Et voila," right? Here is the evidence where this loan is not mine. This loan is not mine. This loan is not mine. I had to see here, right? I had to sleep in my car. The nerve of the world giving me the consequences for my poor behavior, my poor choices. Essentially, this is what it comes down to. A lot of us have shielded people in our lives from those consequences. And here it is. It's just real, raw, right? That's what a lot of these divorcees or going through it suddenly don't realize that protection that was afforded from the marriage is gone. Now he's just going to treat you like you're a bill or a thing to get away from. He is willing to pay to remove you from his life. That's what a man is saying when you go through a lot of these divorces. I'm willing to pay money so you can leave, and I never have to see you or encounter or sort of deal with you. Yeah. Yeah, like and subscribe. Like my sister said, right? You gotta listen to my sister. It's my sister. Right, listen. Yeah, on your way in, if you're here, hit the like button. YouTube is doing what it does, is changing little things about the algorithm, so it's not really pushing things like it used to. And by used to, I mean 3-4 days ago. All the same, there's nothing that you can really do with it. So it's kind of a lot, it's kind of like a good mantra. Just show up and do the work. So we're going to show up and do the work rather than waiting it out. We're still going to push out the content, 2 videos a day, 2 shorts a day, sometimes more shorts, sometimes more videos. We're trying to get better, little incremental twists and changes so we can get put out better. And I say we as a royal we, because I want to build this community here. So again, like, subscribe. Subscriptions mean the world. We're trying to, we did 3,000, in 6 months. And I'm, internally grateful for that. And I need to get myself in the right frame of mind and saying, it's a slow build. It's a process. I fully expect this thing to be up and running in about 4 or 5 years. So we just show up every day. We do what we got to do. And we get to look back in time to say, hey, remember when we were doing it like this? Remember when we were doing it the hard way, when we were struggling? Remember the people that were here to support? So we always want to look to be ready to honor those people that helped make the thing possible. Well, you got to do the hard part and just kind of showing up. So let's continue.
I'm probably gonna see a specialist. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'm a crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'm a crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'm a crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'm a crash out. Got 100K on my.
So listen, crashing out is probably one of my favorite segments, and sometimes one of the hardest things to look for stuff, because there's a lot of silliness online, and there's sometimes there's a lot of skits. There's a lot of nonsense like that goes back and forth that happens. So you have to be careful. I end up finding something and say, wait, I think I saw something of yours where your baby daddy was doing this and now it's this, or it's the same faces. Oh, okay, this got to be a skit. This got to be comedy. The problem with that is that when we make fun of our situations, they tend to be believable. When you're saying, I can't believe this person did that, it tends to be believable because there's so much dysfunction in our community. And I'm just focusing on the Black community because that's the community that we're in. I'm not saying by any means that there's not dysfunction in other communities. There absolutely is. For whatever reason, whatever side of the internet they're on, Algo does a good job of keeping it segregated. So if anyone does have videos of stuff like that, please feel free to send it my way, because all that stuff is always interesting. It's always fascinating to me. And I know we all go through stuff. We all have issues. That just makes us human. But some issues are worse than others.
Your boyfriend cheated on you with your uncle. You confronted your uncle about it before you confronted your boyfriend. When you talked to your uncle, he said, hey, I just be living life. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. You leave, you get back home, you confront your boyfriend and say, so you fucking my uncle. Your boyfriend was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why the fuck is you making up bullshit? And you like, so you gonna stay here and fucking lie to me when you know that I know that you fucking my fucking uncle. Don't fucking lie about it. Now y'all going back and forth, right? While you arguing with your boyfriend, the uncle calls you. You answer the phone mid-argument. That nigga on the phone talking about some, well, tell him to come pick up his draw since he done with me.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do? Who do you start being mad at? I'm looking for suggestions. Who do you start being mad at? Oh, I know family first. You got to keep family close, but damn, right? You got to listen. There's got to be a lot of black eyes going around. Right? Thanksgiving, you got to understand why this man is never seen at this table again. Right? Just the embarrassment. Just every year rehashing that story. Hey, remember the time me and your boyfriend? Oh, and what would be worse? What would be worse? Right? What would be worse is that they actually got together. Right? He came out, he's out and open, and now they're at the family functions, at the barbecue, at the Thanksgiving, at the birthday parties. You get to see that all the time. You get to see that all the time. But like I said, sometimes these things make me excited. Sometimes it's a nice palate cleanser from trying to find the nuance, and sometimes like, you know, there's no nuance to be found here. Right? So I had fun. I had fun with this crashing that one.
When you come home, I get your shit. I ain't know I love you shit. I ain't know I love you shit. You don't fucking love me. You don't love me. You don't love me. Back away from me. Back away from me. Back away from me. Back away from me. I ain't no did shit. Back away from me. I'm not. I can't. You doing a whole. You doing meetup. You got OnlyFans. You doing meetup. You doing meetup. This is what I did not want to marry. This is not what I want. I didn't marry. This is not what I married. We've been married 4 years. We've been married 4 years. It ain't no. It's no. Dance, ain't no such thing. There's no dance. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, man? I'm not trying to hear that shit. 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 No, don't try to cover yourself up. You study trying to cover yourself up. Don't try to cover. You cover. Why are you embarrassed now? You wasn't embarrassed at first. You wasn't embarrassed when you was on there. I don't give. Now she want to cry. I don't give about none of that crying. Just know this: when you come home, I get your shit.
What do you do? What do you do? Right? Your wife is on OnlyFans and she's doing meetups. Right? Your wife is selling it. Your wife is escort. Right? It's old school back pages. Right? Craigslist. Which one is worse? Your boyfriend and your uncle or your wife? Right? Your boyfriend or your wife. Which one's worse? Yo, you're trying to contribute. Right? All of a sudden, you're like, yo, babe, I got the mortgage for the year. Oh, it's 50-50, right? I guess if we're clamoring and we want women to do 50-50, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I guess that's excusable, right? Right? Look, listen, if you want to think, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just decide on my own that I'm going to do this. We got to have this conversation. We got to have this conversation. I got to be real with you. It's like, hey, real talk. I wouldn't pay for it. I'm just being real with you. I'm looking at. I've sampled it. I've lived with it. I wouldn't pay for that. I wouldn't pay top dollar. Just being fair, right? That may not be what you want to hear, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. But at least those people, they're making something happen. A lot of the times when people come over to the States where they deal with Western women, the problem is, you know, what we know it is. There's a masculinity issue, right? That becomes the biggest concern with women today. Well, in the West or in Western civilization.
Men will comment on my videos that I'm too masculine. And it's like, bro, if you look up to me, just say that. And he is absolutely right. Women in America act like fucking men. They smoke weed, they tote fucking guns, and they throw up fucking gang signs, bro. There is nothing feminine about that. Like, okay, NBA young, why the fuck is you holding up a fucking gun in a picture? Like, we want to date women, not girls who act like men. It is such a fucking turnoff, bro. All these bitches in America, they have kids. They're into fucking gang politics. Like, bro, can you just be a woman? Like, damn, how hard is it to look pretty and suck dick? Why do you have to be a fucking gangster? Like, why do you want it? Why do you think it makes you cool?
I just have a masculine energy and I feel like a boy. I don't feel feminine. I don't feel attractive. So it's hard for me.
Listen, sometimes, like, you know, you're happy that other people say some of the stuff that you're thinking or you would like to say for yourself. But yeah, the gang signs, throwing up the thing, some of the vocabulary that you see is like, you know, I know, and this is how I look at it. This is how I'm trying to be objective about it and nice about it and look at it in the right way. I see stuff like that and I simply say to myself, I'm not the target market. Right? I'm not the target audience for this. You're not doing any of this for me because, you know, none of that stuff works for me. None of that stuff gets me feeling, you know, right. When I see you throwing up the middle finger, when I, you know, if I see you in photos with your middle finger up, it's an automatic no for me. Automatic no for me. Everything else about you can be great. If I'm going through your photos, I'm creeping on Instagram, and I see you out there with the middle finger up, it's an absolute no for me. But I think a lot of men when they and I have this problem, I tend to think that most men think like me, or most men in the caliber and category I like to put myself in or think I'm in, think similarly. So I don't think I'm the target market. I'm not looking at this and thinking, oh, it's cool that you throwing up. I don't know what your gang signs mean. I don't know what set you're talking about. I have no clue. I'm lost. It doesn't attract me. So I understand it's not for me. I get it's not for me. Right. So I'm gonna let you live. I'm gonna let you rock. I'm gonna let you do that thing. But whenever the stream shall never really cross. And when they do, there's gonna be that look on my face like, how did I get here? How did I get here? How did I find myself in a place where everyone is throwing up the thing? No. Listen, but I don't want to be misunderstood. There are times in life when your ratchet meter gets low, right? It gets low, and you want to see people twerking on chairs and couches, and you need personally, I need about 8.5 minutes of seeing that and say, all right, I'm good. I'm probably good for another 6-7 months, and this is not really my scene. I can get the entertainment value of it, but the cursing, the swearing, that's not for me. There's not an inch of it that screams any type of femininity for me. But listen, we'll keep on moving. Agree or disagree is up next. All right. So what we try to do, right? I'm trying to make these things sort of cohesive sometimes. And I want agree to disagree sometimes to flow into the main topic. And we're talking about why divorce becomes the easy choice. And one of the key reasons behind this is because I think, well, at this point, I think we really much know that men and women are looking at things diametrically differently, where women are often citing how bad things were in the past. I get that. But if that was never really the oppression you lived under, why is it such a focal point for you? Well, a lot of times in the discussions you hear, well, women, they couldn't get a credit card. When did you have trouble getting a credit card? Personally, I know historically that is true for you. That is true for women, but how has that impacted your life? So you're taking cues from your grandmother, your mother, and she's telling you, listen, you got to operate in a way where you don't need a man, where you need to protect yourself, where you need to out. In fact, put men on the back burner, do what you got to do, live your own life. She's telling you how to live in a way that makes sense, that she wished was available to her. When we often give advice to people, to the younger, we leave out that there are some things my choices got me that are beneficial, that I'm happy about. We leave that out because in the moment when we're giving this advice, sometimes we're in a very negative place. We're very upset with how things are going in our life, and we use that and we say, I want to protect you from these things. So here are the things you should be doing. And we don't look at these blank templates we call children, and as we pile into them. My sister and I were discussing just yesterday about, one of my aunts that passed some time ago. But I remember at 15, 16 years old, she would have individual conversations with each of us, right? Or that aunt that I think, in my estimation, did it right, where each one of her nieces or nephews, she knew individually and didn't just treat you as a blanket sort of thing. And this is an aunt married into the family. But we each, whenever we talk about our particular relationships or conversations we have with her, we all have different experiences, lasting experiences. One of the things that she used to talk to me about was she used to lament. She was a OBGYN. She used to lament about taxes. Right? It's a beautiful house in Mountain Lakes. Beautiful house. But she would talk to me about taxes. Those suck, like property tax. I'm like, what does any of that matter? Right? I'm 15, 16 years old. I'm working at McDonald's at 17. You talking to me about taxes. That stuff sits with you. It starts changing the way you start thinking about things. It starts opening doors to how you move and how it shapes you. So years later, I'm in real estate. And I'm looking at her like, I'm thinking about her. I'm like, yeah, man, you're right. Property taxes, that shit don't make no type of sense. So we don't really pay credence or understand the effect that a lot of conversations have with the next generation. We don't understand it. We don't look at it. It's not a viable thing that makes sense to us. But people are watching, people are listening, people are paying attention. In time, over time, that affects you.
Our mothers looked us dead in the eyes and said, never depend on a man, and we listened. We got the degrees, we built the businesses, we bought the houses, and we were super successful. We became the women that they wished they could become. But here's what no one prepared us for. Once you become independent, how do you let someone else in? We mastered self-sufficiency, and then a partnership suddenly felt like a huge regression to us. And for me, it was like giving up territory that I had fought so hard for. Meanwhile, the men that we're meeting were raised on a completely different script. Provide or you're worthless, your value is your utility, and you have to be serious and stoic at all times. So now you have this awesome dynamic of women that were taught that they shouldn't need anyone, and men that were taught that their only value is being needed. Two people standing at the opposite ends of a bridge that is broken, and both of them are wondering why connection is impossible. This conversation is not going back to dependence or pretending like we don't have our lives handled, because we do. It's about unlearning what survival mode taught us so we can actually learn what partnership means to us. And it's about learning why two people actually choose each other. It's not because they need to, it's because they want to, and that's the conversation that nobody's having.
The conversation we should be also having concurrently is a very honest one. And understanding that one of the things I understood with the greatest lesson I ever, learn as an adult is like, sometimes it doesn't work out. Full stop. Sometimes it does not work out. Despite your best hopes and dreams, it does not work out. You were taught with a heavy hand that, leave men alone. Men are not important. Men are the enemy. Do the things that I wish I had done. Our parents were not infallible. Right? There's plenty of stuff that I disagree with my parents on when growing up. And sometimes that was just from a child's place. And then as an adult, you kind of start seeing like, yeah, you were just doing your best. You were just doing your best. And you try to prepare me for a world that no longer exists. Your world is gone. Just like plenty of young parents or parents today are looking and saying, the world I knew is gone. And I'm trying to tell my child, when you've got a young Kai Cenat and his mom's telling him, no, stop, get off that, stop streaming. It's a different world. So a lot of the things you're imparting upon your children, they will not make sense. And they're all going to cause friction and tension and bumping heads. But you're doing the best. You don't know enough. You don't have the crystal ball. You don't have the astrology charts. You don't know what the future holds. So you do your best to teach them in whatever way you can. And you hope they get it right. You hope you're teaching them the right way. But a lot of times there are moments when you mess things up. You're giving them advice that is antiquated and outdated. And you think I meant well. They'll figure it out. A lot of them don't figure it out. They take that to heart and they run with it. Now they're 30s, 40s, 50s, and realizing, shit, I don't know anything about men. I don't know how to approach them. I don't know how to talk to them. I don't know how to be with them if they're honest. They don't know any of that. In the same token, men have constantly taught the same thing. That emotion thing, you gotta put a cap on that. You need to understand that. You need to, I know it hurts, but you crying is not the thing. And we look at that and we say that these are men that can't express themselves. But look at what happens when men express themselves. Look how you chastise them. Look how you denigrate them. So when men are being taught to be, you should be stoic. You should be able to handle this. You should be able to think your way through these things. We don't really praise that. We don't look at that as a good thing. We just say it's a bad thing because we end up looking at most things through the female lens. So we, like she said, we're diametrically opposed. We're on opposite sides of a crevasse, of a bridge that's broken, and no one knows how to take the proper steps. We may end up calling, the millennial generation, or at least maybe the next one, the lost generation. In terms of relationships, in terms of childbirth, we may be the thing that just becomes a cautionary tale in 2 generations' time. Yeah, don't do what they did. They had social media. They were more connected, and they had more access to each other than they ever had before, and they couldn't handle it. Or the way they handle it becomes like, okay, we know this is not what we're supposed to do with any of it. Well, let's continue.
Women very rarely have the one that got away. Okay, that's men who say that. Women typically have the one they regret giving a second chance to, or the one they stayed with too long. That's what women have.
So this is something that, again, I can't speak for women. I can't speak for women, but men are often very open about the one that got away, the one they felt that they screwed up, they weren't ready for, or just bad timing. I think this is because men have been very conditioned to look at their lives and say, it's test, retest. It's a, try and fail again, fail upwards. That becomes how we kind of move and do things. That becomes our normal sort of state of being. So in that effect, we are very open with things where we say, I kind of screwed that up. To us, that's just accountability. The idea that women are saying, I never had someone that I felt is someone that I fumbled, that I messed up, that I wasn't ready for, that I wasn't adult enough. It just shows a sort of immaturity to think that you go throughout your life and in every relationship that you've ever encountered, you were never the problem. There was never anything wrong with you, though you did everything right at all times. That just doesn't make any sense at all. You cannot constantly be the only one that's right, the only person that's constantly right. No, that's really just not how life works. We know this really true. We know this is accurate. This is actual facts. When you just look at things for yourself, that's not how the world works. You make mistakes. You screw things up, and sometimes you screw up the person that you really wanted to be with. And it's okay to go to your deathbed. I prefer to go to my deathbed with a bunch of regrets. I tried these things, and I wish I tried a little more. I wish I tried a little harder here. But in the meantime, it reminds me, try hard now. I'm always going to have things that I wanted to do and just regret there was only one life I had to live. To show off and think that this somehow is a plus. Somehow this is a thing that shows the difference between men and women. Oh, men get it. Oh, women move like, no. It shows that what it just comes across as a lack of accountability. Something that men are constantly saying, like, this is one of the detriments, that one of the things that keeps us apart. If you can't see your own action or your own inaction in things, what use of a partner are you? Imagine being with someone that is telling you they're always correct. Always correct. This is what people experience in marriages. It's not something that's flat out said, but it's something that people say, oh, okay, I get it.
I'm a married man that understands the risk of men trying to get married. I'm going to say marriage isn't for everybody. I'm the type that's going to advocate for the women and say, I actually think you need to be at a certain dollar amount in dealing with today's women. As an example, the woman under 40 that you see today is not the 40-year-old version of your mother or your grandma. Between social media, between OnlyFans, between the sexual liberation movement, etc., these women have been conditioned to be addicted to dopamine spikes. What it's done is the version of what women in the West are now. Their hypergamous nature is to a level no other women that's ever existed collectively have ever done. They're demanding things that no women have, that in mass have ever demanded from a collective of men. They're asking for more than ever before. They cannot be content. They're taking this mindset into a marriage, into a relationship, in the dating market. They're not getting the desired outcome, and they've been convinced that the problem is just and primarily the men.
When you look at this and you break that, you just break that down. Right? You break that down to the brass tacks. Yeah, we can't couple up long term because eventually that spike will release. That dopamine spike will be exhausted. And there's only so many times, more times that you can sit there and try to spike it. This is why we have that phenomenon with the Pookies and Ray Rays. Why you like the bad boy. Why you like this sort of person. It's because of dopamine, because we've gotten so used to what's in front of our faces in terms of our phones, in terms of our shortened attention span. We want the excitement. We want it now. We want to hit now. But what happens when you look at what an actual relationship ends up being? It's those slow moments. It's those quiet moments where nothing is happening, where we're simply existing together. It becomes a hard thing for people to actually understand, to sit there and accept that this is what marriages are. When we gave people a peek into our lives, right, through social media, through posting whatever we wanted, we did not do them a service by not showing them the mundane, not showing that this is what actual life is like. So we get this inflated sense, and our lives will never be the ones that you scrolled on. When you're on Instagram and you're scrolling, you're seeing highlight after highlight after highlight after highlight. And you wonder why my life is not like this. Why my life is not like this. But we'll get to that. I'm going to encourage you to listen. If you're in the chat, if you made it in it, even if you're replay gang, consider subscribing to the channel, share this video if you like, and hit that like button. Let's talk about it. All right, so we've kind of danced around it. Right? We've talked about it in different effects, but it's a culmination of reasons why divorce is now seen as the easy option. When you grow up, in us millennials growing up, and we got very familiar with the reset button. Any of you played any video games whatsoever, then the reset button was always there. It was always an option. When things weren't going right, when things weren't going the right way, you could always hit the reset. You could always stop and say, okay, I don't like this. It's not moving the right way. I didn't start this as smooth as I wanted to start it. Here's a reset button. Here's how I can keep it moving. Here's how I can go back and now do things better. I know where the traps are. I know where I went wrong or where that person went wrong. I know what to look for. We like to hit that reset button. It's a comfort. It makes it seem like even what I'm doing now, if I make the mistakes, I can do better the next time around. You take that and we look at our dating apps. You look at the culture that we created in there where everyone is sort of a temporary individual. They come and they go and you don't have to worry about it because whether or not this is good for you or bad for you, there is going to be someone next. There's going to be someone that is coming right behind that. So I don't have to worry about the mistakes I make here. I don't have to be concerned that this person doesn't get it. This person doesn't get me. No, none of that is really important. I can keep pushing. I keep doing the things that I want to do, what's important to me at all times. So now when you have the opportunity you're sitting across from the love of your life. You guys have done all the things. You've done the wedding. You've walked down the aisle. You've said the vows. In the back of your head, you're still thinking, I can reset. We have the idea of starter homes and starter marriages now. That this is just something for you to get your feet wet in. Try your best. Don't try it all. It doesn't matter because you'll do it better on the next one. And we're going to focus in terms of, and I don't want people to feel bad, feel like I'm attacking them, but the focus tends to be on women when 80% of the divorces and 90% up to 90% with a college education tends to be from women. So there's fault on both sides. And if it makes women feel better, we start with the men. Our fault is we don't file enough. When we think the idea is I'm supposed to suffer, I'm supposed to sacrifice, I'm supposed to stay in this thing that I'm genuinely unhappy in. One of the first things I said on this channel was we need to take more cues from women. Right? And women prioritize their happiness like none other, like no other creature on the planet. Men, we think, well, I'm not supposed to be happy because you've never really tasted it. It's never been pushed. It's never been the important thing that people said. You should be doing stuff that makes you happy. You look at the way you celebrate your birthdays or you don't celebrate your birthdays. Look at the way you say, I'm going to take myself on vacation, or the way you don't take yourself on vacation. When's the last time unprompted you got a massage? When's the last time unprompted you checked in with yourself mentally, said, how are you feeling? How are you doing? We don't do that. We produce. There is pleasure in the production. Do not get me wrong. I cannot sit here on my little couch, on my little green throne, and say that I'm not the one that does not care about production. My whole life is about production. I'll finish this. I'll probably consider doing like a post stream just to check a few little tweaks. And if there's a difference of doing this here, what makes more sense? Data, then I'll be up at 4:30 in the morning to get a workout in and then continue the day. I'm all about productivity. And I get sad, I get upset when the data doesn't reflect my effort. But what I do, I try to put in more effort, I try to produce more. Whenever we hit with a jam, we say, I got to figure it out. Maybe we call the buddies, maybe we help people understand. But we don't reach out in terms of the way that we are told is supposed to be healthy with women. We want to produce, right? I'm good with that. Definitely no production for the ungrateful. We don't want to produce for ungrateful. This is where men are starting to take it back. And I hate to use that phrase, taking back some of their power, right? It sounds so blah, right? But men are starting to understand, especially the men that get their value. They understand where they are in the dating game. They understand they've been level set. And they say, okay, I'm doing the things that are not possible for regular men. To toot their own horn, they're better than regular men. So they understand the game. And they say, cool, I tried. I tried in this marriage. It's not working. So it's easy for men. It should be easy for men to say, okay, I'm cool with this. When that divorce bell is rung, men aren't sitting there and really trying to say, let me try it again. Let me try it. More and more men are saying, you know what, I'm good. And more importantly, they're telling younger men, don't do it. Don't do it. They've always been saying that. Always been a thing. But now we're in these spaces where we're saying these things and they're playable, they're clickable, they're repeatable. You can play it again and again and again and again and again. The men are saying, no, don't do it. Don't do it. You've got professionals saying it, don't do it. We're watching examples of people put their lives on there and men are saying, don't do it. Or we're watching men being taken through the cleaners. We're all familiar with Tyrese. I just, on an aside, right? On an aside, when Samantha Lee, Tyrese's ex, when she pivoted with her content and she started talking about it from the male point of view, like she's a champion of males, I see this all the time. And I am like, and the amount of followers that like easily 100,000. Now, is there some jealousy in there? Absolutely. Absolutely. But this was even before I started creating content. But I saw that pivot and like, wait, Tyrese is actively telling the world how you put him through the ringer. And you're sitting here telling about this is what women don't understand about men. You're an advocate for what? I think that what would have made more sense for her, I'm not trying to give her advice because again, she's got like a successful page that I actually ended up blocking because it was upsetting me. That if you had been that example, tell Tyrese, yo, I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't need $10,000 a month for our daughter. And you left it at that, but the hypocrisy is there. So it's one of the things that men are watching, they're seeing. And since we don't really have a high esteem, a high value for men, we watch them and we think we come on here. I say women come on here and they'll give the playbook out. And then they'll be surprised when men say, oh, that's what it is. So let me just play the side role. Let me just come in, do what I got to do and bounce. So why are men thinking now, oh, it makes sense for us to get married? No, it's easier for me just to say, once this is done, it's done. Sometimes for men, since we have this culture of them being they're very used to sitting in stuff and saying, I'm going to do this until the kids come of age. Or there was a post I saw that was sort of eye-opening. If divorces weren't 50-50, and is what you brought in is what you brought out, or what you take out, it said more men would get divorced. If men didn't stand to lose so much in divorce, it said you would see more men get divorced and more women fight to stay keeping the marriages. One of the reasons why divorce becomes an easy reason or easy option for women is because it's incentivized. It's completely incentivized by the law. And there's no one saying that someone's going out and telling women, get divorced because, no, well, there's content like that. It's playbooks like that. There's ebooks like that. So it's no surprise that a lot of women are very familiar with divorce laws, where this is why I want a man that is making so much. This is why when he brings up a prenup and he suggests you also get a prenup, I'll have a prenup. When we have the lawyers look at the prenup, it's met with an emotional attack. Because once that leverage is missing, most don't see the utility in it. You take out that incentive, and Nicole Smith, her marriage doesn't make any sense. You take that out and you see what's actually happening. This is a business transaction. What was it? CGA said, men in love, women in business. And as much as you may want to recall from that, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. No, I get it. Men stay for their family, but you can't stay in something that takes two to actually commit to. If a woman says, I'm out. But if I think there's another trend going on where, I don't know if this is starting in Africa, where they were saying, when a divorce happens, give him the kid. This is one of those things that I don't think that some women are thinking through. A lot of men would love that. Right? A lot of men would love that. Oh, give me the kid. Yeah, bounce. I know a couple of men, I know this is simply anecdotal, who just simply, I have the kid. I don't ask for child support. Not because it's a manly thing, it's just because I want to limit any type of interaction I have with her. I don't think it'd be such a big surprise. And this is when we get back talking about the quality difference in men. When you are dealing with effectively bums, I'll define bums, so we're very clear. Bums are the ones that, since you decided you don't want to be with them, they want to make your life a living hell. They want to alienate you. They want to do whatever they can, make your life difficult with their child, while being the child at the minimum. Just because we cannot be together, I'm going to make your life difficult and hard. Those are bums. The ones that have no inkling or no decision, they don't want to see the kid, those are bums. Bums are not the fathers just like, I want to be there with my kid. Bums are not the ones the father that are going to court for more time to actual visitation. Or the men saying, put me on child support so we can get a thing with the law that says I can come and see my kid. I can have time with my kid. Those are not bums. What we end up doing is we're looking at these bums, right, as we define them, right? Yeah, bums, they're the ones that you are now holding the rest of men and saying, look at you guys, right? Look at you guys. You all are supposed to be like this. You all like this. No, you did not qualify for the class of man you really think you deserve. So now you think we're all like this. No, we're watching it and we're saying, that could never be me. Right?
Let that shit happen to me though.
It could never be. I don't want to be part of that. I don't want that to be my legacy, what I leave here. I don't want to be a baby daddy. Right? I don't want to be a baby daddy. I want this thing to make sense when I have a child. I want it to be I don't ever want to be in a position where I've become accustomed to seeing my child when I wake up, right? And knowing that I will see my child later. I like that idea. I like the way that looks. I like the way that feels. I don't ever want to have anything different from that. But because whatever decision you made, because now it's time for you to hit the reset button because you're no longer happy. Now that's ripped away. The most important thing in my life is ripped away from me because you decided there was more happiness, that the grass may be greener on the other side. So I'm going to take the chance and I'm just going to try that thing. And if I wish we had a society was more honest about what happens to people when they try that, when they go out there, when they go out and seek that greenery on the other side, when they realize that life was probably better where you watered it. I wish we had more honest dialogue and more honest conversations that, yeah, shit sucks. It's just flap them down. It sucks. It's different. It sucks. It's not where I want it to be. But this is why I think it's very easy right now for people to just say, yo, I'm out. I'm out. We don't have a culture or a society of stick-to-itiveness. We're weaker. When we see challenges, we think, I never go through something that I can go around, and we walk around the challenge. Say, no, I'll try it again next time. I'll try to do better next time, and that'll be what it is. And we end up being worse for it, right? We end up being a worse society for it, and then we can't find the wherewithal to stop pointing fingers at one another and say, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. At the end of the day, we can look at other westernized societies and see where direction we're headed in. For different reasons, for different set of reasons, like Japan and the birth rate, like Germany, China, we can see what's happening. We're watching the slow degradation of our society, but I can't for the life of me think of a way to bridge this gap while no one or a certain side has trouble with accountability, has trouble looking at us as if we're like the bottom, like we're the worst representations of us. When you look at First 48, when you look at Cops, when you look at these shows, when people look and say, yeah, the usual suspects, you think that's all of us, right? And this is something we're leaving. This is just in our community. When you don't value your men for what they do outside of production, how easy is it for you just to say, I'll just find another man? I think that's where we're kind of at right now. That's the state of being right now. But as usual, right? If you got, a different opinion, I'm always down to hear the comments. I'm always down to go back and forth with you guys. Oh, shout out to Replay Game. Hopefully you guys see this and have something to say, something to add. But until then, right? I'll see you guys on the next one. Like as usual. We're still going to try different lives, different times, and see what the schedule allows. We're going to try to do this. We're trying to make this work. And again, this is a 4 or 5 year plan. We're trying to do better. We're trying to make this thing into a bigger thing. And if you're seeing this, you're reading this, you're new to the channel, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel because we got a lot more to talk about. I'll see you in the next one.